Namaskaram everyone. Shri Mahaganavati Namaha Karuparatme. So recently I saw a video posted by Isha where Sadhguru speaks about the sometimes touchy subject that Tantra has unfortunately become in today's world. See, a lot of myths and propaganda has been spread about Tantra, both in the West and within India itself. If you go to the West and mention the term Tantra, the obvious reaction that you would get is it is some sexual practice, it is some erotic practice where nefarious or iffy characters had gone to India and brought these subjects as workshops and other kinds of training modules within the West. Within Bharat itself, another kind of propaganda exists. When you go to especially Vaishnava dominated areas or Vedantic or Vedic dominated areas, when you say Tantra, immediately the thing that comes to people's mind is black magic, prayogas, curses, destruction of people, and similar topics is what people understand as Tantra to be. This is very, very sad because Tantra is a very beautiful philosophy. Yes, there are aspects of Tantra where you work with your desire. There are aspects of Tantra where you wield mantra Shakti and achieve your Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha desires as you progress towards spirituality. But this very outlandish aspects of Tantra has been made the main topic in people's minds these days. So I'm very happy that someone of Sadhguru's popularity and someone of Sadhguru's stature has spoken up about Tantra. So in the video I saw, Sadhguru says that Tantra means technology or tool. Is that accurate? Yes, Tantra in its most basic meaning is a technology or tool to interact or to connect with the divine. So what Sadhguru has said is correct in the most foundational manner. Now, if we go further, what do we know about Tantra or what does Tantra mean? We should check the Tantra Shastras themselves that explain what Tantra is about. Now, Tantra is a corpus of knowledge. We call them the Tantra Agamas, a set of texts of Shaiva, Shakta, even Vaishnava philosophy, where the Agamas relate to temple worship, temple consecration, while the Tantras relate to internal worship, sadhana, mantra, and so on and so forth. So we call them together as the Tantra Agamas. So if you want to know what Tantras are, we should check the Tantra Shastras. So one of the texts, the Kamika Agamas, gives a very specific meaning of what Tantra is. Tan means to spread, Tra means to protect. And then they go on to explain what is it mean to spread. To spread, to uncover the knowledge of the tattvas, which are the building blocks of reality or reality itself. What do you mean by protect? To protect oneself from the cycle of rebirths, births, and deaths. So, Tantra means that which gives you knowledge about reality and that which protects you from the cycle of births and deaths. That is the Shastric meaning of Tantra. One misconception is that Tantra has got only to do with mantra sadhana. There are a lot of Tantras that also deal with yoga and pranayama techniques. For example, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is one of the key texts on meditation that even great luminaries like Osho have spoken about previously. So I have seen a lot of nefarious people play down the effectiveness and the power of the tantras. I've seen people who follow certain Vedantic paths mention that, oh, tantras are nothing but things that have been derived from the Vedas. So we do not need the tantras, we already have the Vedas. I've seen people say that, oh, the Vedas are not created, they are divine, while the tantras are manufactured later on, and hence the Vedas are much more superior than the tantras. So these kind of false allegations have been spread about tantra. Now, if we look at the tantras themselves, they have mentioned that they come from the 5 phases of Sadashiva. So they come directly from Lord Shiva. Secondly, in the conversations that you see in the tantras, it's either Devi teaching Shiva or Shiva teaching Devi. So it is conversations between Shiva and Parvati. So obviously you cannot downplay them. And we have to take the word of the divine as absolute. For example, the Mahanirvana Tantra, Sadashiva and Parvati have a conversation, and Parvati asks Sadashiva, in Kali Yuga, which is the best and most effective path for liberation? And Sadashiva is very, very clear in the Tantra, where he says that in the Kali Yuga, only the Tantric path leads to liberation, and only the Tantric path is effective. Other paths, like the Vedic path that were effective in the Satya Yuga, are no longer effective in the Kali Yuga. And they are as snakes with their fangs withdrawn. Sadashiva makes this very, very clear. So why these kind of so-called criticisms Sadashiva has given about the Vedas? It's not actually a criticism. The kind of lifestyle, the lifespan, the achara that is required in the Vedic path is almost impossible for a normal person to partake in today's day and age, because it is the age of decay. That is why Sadashiva has given the tantric path. Elsewhere, Sadashiva goes on to say that to look for other paths for liberation when tantra exists is like digging a well in the shores of the Ganga river looking for water when the Ganga river is just right there. So Shiva is very, very clear on the effectiveness and power of Tantra and why it is the best stream or best philosophy for liberation in this age of Kali Yuga. Now, going back to the video where Sadhguru speaks about the Tantra, he mentions Pusala, which is a very beautiful story, part of the Periya Puranam, a key text in Tamil Shaiva Siddhanta. He is part of the 63 Nayanmars, the 63 divine sages or saints recognized in Shaiva Siddhanta, including the very legendary Kannappa Nayana. Many of you might know him as the hunter who gave his eye to Lord Shiva's Shivalinga when the Shivalinga was bleeding. So Pusala Nayanar was a great saint. He visualized a temple for Lord Shiva within himself. since he did not have the resources to build a real temple, he built a temple brick by brick and followed every custom that was required when you build a real temple. That requires so much mental capacity, faith, and visualization. So the story goes that a king in the area was building a physical temple for Lord Shiva, and he fixed the time for the consecration or the Kumbhabhisheka. That's when Lord Shiva came to the king's dream and said, I can't attend the Kumbhabhisheka because there is a consecration already of Pusalar that I have to attend. So this king goes, who's going to be doing a temple at the same time that I am doing? And when he finds out, he realizes it was this great sage Pusala Nayanar who was building a temple for Shiva within himself. So that is the power of great saints. Now, a little uh, expansion on this. The Shaiva saints or the Siddhas had a type of philosophy where they only worshipped the Deva or Shiva on the inside. They were against Murti worship. They were against external forms of worship. A lot of them were even against temple worship. That is not Tantra. So Pusala Nayanar is a beautiful story, but one should not take from that story that Tantra means against ritual worship. Tantra means against external worship. Because if you look at any of the tantric schools, be it Kali Kula, be it Shri Kula, where they worship Lalita Tripura Sundari and the other devatas that are associated with her in the Sri Chakra. Even if you go to the Shankara Peeths, you will see lots of external ritual worship. In Tantra, you do not see the divine as only within you. The divine is not limited to just being within you, the divine is everywhere. The creator is immanent within creation. So when we do things like nyasas, kavacha, and other practices like dhyana rupa visualization, we are making this body the temple, making this body that is seen as an obstruction to spirituality in other paths in Hinduism. We make this the tool of spirituality, and we make this the temple and the divine seated in the sanctum sanctorum in your Hridaya chakra. So Pusala Nayanar made the temple within his Hridaya chakra. In Tantra, we make the whole body divine and become a vehicle for the divine who sits in your Hridaya chakra. So there is a difference between those two philosophies. In Tantra, we are never against external worship. There are two ways of controlling your mind. One way is to go through meditational practices where you still your thoughts, you watch your thoughts. The other way is by hyper focus, where so much of ritual externalities are there that you have to be hyper focused so that you do the rituals correctly. And that is another way of taming the mind. So both ways are conducive in spirituality. So that is just a small teaser about what Tantra means in reality. In future videos, I will go a bit further about Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, and other similar aspects. Until then, Sri Mahaganapati Namaha, Karpartune.